Hello, everybody in Obsessed Hub. We are changing gears. We are back in the studio, but we have an incredible guest. I'm actually super excited, and you can't see her right now, but oh my God, I cannot wait for you guys to see who we've got. Her name is Pearly. She is amazing, and she literally went from a carefully manicured flight attendant to a colorful cake artist. And now you're a budding toypreneur, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit later. And we know it's a little bit secretive, but we're going to do digging as much as we can.
Yes.
And we're basically, you're a woman on a mission to change the world's attitudes towards anxiety and mental health.
Yes.
Yeah,
Through cakes.
Through cakes. Yes.
I reckon
One of
that
many things.
sounds amazing.
Yes, definitely.
So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Go nuts.
Oh, go nuts.
You go hard,
Can I
Annette.
Can I go
Come at me.
hundreds and thousands?
Yes, you can.
Oh,
I mean, they brought sprinkles with me, kind of like a sprinkle fight.
wait, that would be awesome. I think that we should do the whole interview with cake in our mouth and see if people can
You
interpret
should definitely
it.
do like a 5 things people don't know about you, but with your mouth full of cake.
With your mouth full of cake.
We
I
can
think
do
that
it.
sounds like a great show.
Yeah, I just like lunge for a
Now,
grab.
I'm going to jump straight into it because it sets the scene nicely, I think, because you are on a mission in terms of, helping people with anxiety and depression. Now, you've been through the ringer through your life. In 2017, you were shattered by depression.
Yes.
What was going on in your life then?
It kind of came out of the blue. I just gotten married to my husband in 2016. Definitely not because of him.
Just saying, husband.
Yes, I'm sorry. But I went to my GP because I was like, I just got married. Like, I should be really over the moon right now. Like, why do I feel like this? And I mean, I've had diagnosed generalized anxiety disorder since I was 15, but I've had it since I was a child. So
Can I ask what?
Yeah.
Because there's different types of anxiety. What's generalized anxiety disorder?
So generalized anxiety disorder it's kind of like a chronic condition that basically your brain is stuck in like the amygdala part of your brain. So like the fight or flight, and it can't really regulate that. So you sort of constantly have a feeling of dread and like impending doom, and you ruminate on things like more than you should. So say like you'll be just doing something like, reading a book or working out, and then your brain will be like, do you remember that time in 3rd grade when you weed yourself? Like,
yeah.
And, or like you'll be thinking about, you'll be doing something completely normal, and then your brain will be like, that meeting that you have next week, are you sure you're ready for that? And then you just, so it's constantly like your brain's going like back and forth between the future and the past.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's really fun. And then you have things like panic attacks and things like that come along with it.
So do you still, that all still happens for you today? It's not.
Yes. It's something I've pretty much just going to have my entire life. Like you can like just learn to manage it and learn to live with it. But if it, if you're not really managing it well, it can get to the point that it's just severely debilitating, and it can just stop you from functioning in like everyday life, which is pretty much what happened to me in 2017.
Yeah.
I was on a high. I just finished doing like a course in marketing, and I was like, yes, I'm going to take this, this course in marketing, and I'm going to take my creative background, and I'm still working full-time flying, but I'm reading all the inspirational quotes that are saying that I could do this, and if I work really hard 100% of the time, I can make it. I'm a perfectionist, clearly.
I love
it.
So
and then it just, I crashed and I burned, and I was functioning to all purposes. I was working, I was going to work, and all I can like easily describe it as is like you're just a shell, like that you're in a glass box and everything is happening around you.
Like one of the cicadas that has like shed its skin, and you just pick it up.
So I just had to go into like some serious like mental health care. But it was fantastic in a way. Sounds really weird, because I met my my psychologist, who I still see, Dr. Helen, and she pretty much, I've always been on medication since I was 15 because I had anorexia. I'm just going off all these tangents.
No, it's
Did you stand in a line It was like you've been hit with some really serious shit.
I think it's like all the science behind it and everything is it's pretty much like generalized anxiety can sort of be caused by like environmental factors and also like predisposition. So it's kind of like a perfect storm. And like we had some really serious things happen to my family when I was like a baby, and I think that sort of just like that in combination with like maybe a genetic predisposition to it, which
And it seeds it.
yeah, and then it just kind of grows.
I'm actually like, as a kid, can I just like, I know this is not the plan of the topic of conversation,
Yeah,
but when
yeah.
you go back as a kid,
Mm.
were you like hyperactive and kind of like, or were you withdrawn?
I've always been really just extroverted and just like and super creative. Like my earliest memories are like drawing pictures under my mum's desk and making believe and playing pretend and things like that. And I just loved doing all of that stuff. So I've never been like a quiet person at all. Yeah.
And there's obviously a lot of stuff. And the reason I'm asking is because I'm sitting here listening to you going, fuck, she's me. This is me. But just has way cooler hair.
I literally I get so excited when I meet people who have experienced anxiety, and because it's literally like part of like my mission that I've given myself is just to to make it like more of just a spoken about thing. And once you do speak it and then someone goes, hey, I feel like that, it's just like, oh my God,
Or I felt like that. Do you think that we really diminish the experience of children and how they cope? Like people are always going, oh, kids are so resilient, they'll bounce back. But when you meet people as adults and you start delving into where their challenges started, it goes straight back to childhood.
It does. I mean, like with my the anorexia like part of my life, which I'm recovered now, but that was definitely triggered by bullying, like as a kid. And it's another one of those sort of perfect storm things. It's more like the anorexia was just a symptom of my generalized anxiety disorder that came about because I was bullied as a kid, and because I couldn't turn off what the kids were saying to me, like say other kids who might be, not have that sort of problem, that, it built into that. And like, and my dad would just be like, you just need to grow thicker skin. And I was like,
sticks and stones will break your bones.
I literally can. But the thing is, you don't know, right? Until you're older, until you're adult. And you're like, I literally can't. Like my brain has a chemical imbalance that stops me from doing that.
Yeah. And I used to do my head in as a kid. I'd get a lot of kind of like, people be like, slow down. I'm like, I can't. Why don't you speed up?
Yeah.
Oh, do it.
I know.
Because I can't. Like I my process at a rapid rate of knots, and you get picked on a lot, and you get bullied, like heavily bullied, just for being yourself, because people kind of look at you like like the puppy dogs, and they're like trying to figure you out.
Oh yeah.
And then you feel isolated, so it makes it a lot easier.
Yes.
For things like anorexia and things to creep in.
And that is exactly like one of my biggest things that I like just tell everyone is, I think one of the aspects of anxiety, and it doesn't have to be generalized anxiety, it can be like all different forms of mental illness and stuff, is that it isolates you. And that it's like inherent in that it wants you to be isolated so that it can, I make it sound like it's some kind of demon sort of thing like that. But I mean, it helps if you visualize something, as something other than like, that it's in your mind. It helps putting it out. And that's what, like, I think speaking it out is so important, because like you're getting it out off your chest, away from you, to like look at it and be like, okay, this is a thought that I'm having.
So it's something outside of you rather than in like,
I get that's just one of the things that helps me. Like, I mean, one of my biggest things is I don't want to like, tell people, hey, what works for me is going to work for you.
Right.
And, I just want to make everyone aware of that. It's a conversation that you can have, and that many things help many people. I mean, to me, I'm like 30, turning 31 like next week. And I'm only at this point now that I'm like, oh, I know a combination of doing mindfulness and cognitive behavioral therapy and the drugs that I take, like the serotonin Yeah.
Such a technical term.
I know, right? I'm a lived experience advocate, is what I say, because I'm just like, I'm not a doctor, but like I have,
I know what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what's happened with me.
Where did the baking come into it? Because was that a therapeutic thing for you? Because we're going to talk a little bit about your
yeah,
experience
definitely.
of baking.
Yes.
Because there are some yummy treats.
I can't wait.
Indeed.
I'm so excited. Seriously, that's why I
Indeed.
brought them over here close to me because I am
She's
ready.
covered in baked
Well,
goods.
I literally, I think that was one of my things that I just have always done is, every time I go into a social situation or something and I'm like, I brought cake, please like me.
We liked you even before you opened your mouth and bought cake.
I totally believe that I have gotten like some jobs specifically because I was like, hey, I made this delicious thing and brought it with me. And they're like,
Yeah.
we need you in our office. I'm like, excellent.
Hey, Nat's off camera. You can't see it, but is that why you do it, Nat? Is that why you bring us tasty treats?
Yes, it's
Okay.
excellent. It works. It totally
It's
works.
a handy skill.
Yeah.
So how did baking come into, like, how do you combine anxiety and baking?
Well, so I think like I just started. I've always been into baking and everything, and I started baking on the side when I was flight attendant, and like it can be a very sort of high stressful job, and baking for me and cake decorating, specifically cake decorating, was like an outlet of my creative passions, and because I've always been like artistic and into performing arts and everything like that. Like getting on Zumbo's Just Desserts was like the pinnacle. Like they were like, what if you don't progress the show? I'm like, I'm just here. Like I
don't care.
This is
Yeah.
great. I've done it. Tick. So it was just my creative outlet. And that's how I sort of expressed myself. And, in the world of flying, when it's quite rigid, you can sort of be, you can be like a bit more expressive, but like I got into quite a lot of trouble, like quite often for just being too me.
Yeah. No, I know exactly how that
What do
feels.
they know?
But I was like, when I left, it was just like, like it was eventually when I did leave, it wasn't so much like a finally, I quit. Like, I can't take this anymore. It was just like, I've evolved and I'm, and I know what I'm going to do now, which is why I'm here.
Isn't that lovely? Because I know that in like I've been reading like you get to a certain age and it is that.
Yeah.
It's the same for me.
Yeah,
I'm 42.
Definitely.
And you get to a point in your life and you just go, I'm actually not going to accept this feeling from energy from other people, but I'm also not going to accept that energy from myself.
Definitely.
It's so nice because then you just start to give no fucks.
I know.
Yeah.
I love being 30. I feel like I came into like the 30s and I was like, this is it. Like this is like everyone, like every woman who like turns 30 is like, oh yeah, like this is when you're just like,
well, you're 30, I'm 40.
I
and
didn't
then
have
50.
that experience at 30 because I was having babies and it was like, will I ever sleep again?
Oh, see, I'm like this close to like, it's like, I want like my husband and I are going to start trying to have a baby soon. So I'm just like, oh my God, like, can I fit this into my ridiculous life?
Do you struggle sleeping?
Only when I'm really anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the same as me.
Yeah.
I do
love
kids
my
will fix
sleep,
that,
though.
mate.
I
You'll be
know.
so tired.
I'll exactly.
Must
I'll
sleep.
learn.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh
yeah,
my God.
but the cake. Sorry, tangent. The cakes. The cake stuff. I got into baking, and then it was a creative outlet for me. And then I discovered, like, how much better I felt when I was baking and when I had created something. And I just loved the act of like witnessing other people enjoy something that I'd created. And then I got into practicing mindfulness separately from that, thanks to the Smiling Mind app, which is, I didn't realize it was like a lady startup. It was created by a woman. So I think that's like really awesome.
Just a little plug there. Smiling Mind app.
Yeah, totally. Helped me get through my depression. And like I was never really into I thought mindfulness was kind of like woo-woo and stuff like that. But then like once I started sort of researching it and that like the whole science behind it and the fact that like when you practice mindfulness, which is like focusing on it could just be meditation, it could be, an activity. And in my case, specifically baking, that you're taking your mind, like the actual, like your brain, the chemistry is like, it's switching your thought processes from your amygdala, which is your fight and flight, back into like your prefrontal cortex, which is like where all of your like sensible thinking and stuff comes from. Because the back of your head, like the amygdala, that's like really, really old, like really.
That's your
like,
lizard brain.
Yeah. That's like the, how do I survive because there's a bear? And then like the front part of your brain is, like how do I do maths and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Not that I can do math. I'm
But if you wanted to do maths, that's where it happened.
Exactly.
And it brings you to the now, and that's part of mindfulness.
It brings you to the now.
Yeah.
So by doing that, you're focusing on that. Your brain is literally changing, and then you're not thinking about all the things from the past or all the things from the future. You're in the now. You're focusing on what you're doing, and it increases your attention and your focus and stuff, and then you can get more things done. Like you can live your life better.
That's it. Well, that's the mind, isn't it? The anxiety mind is like you're constantly on that, on whatever it is that's making you anxious. And then you have and this is the experience I have too, but like for me, it's making beads and painting and all that and cooking. But you're in it, and then you start to obsess over that process. And it's good because you're in that space and you're not thinking about everything else.
Yes.
So,
And it's interesting because I'm complete opposite. Like I am so laid back that I'm comfy enough to be a couch at the moment, and you can just come settle in, and I go, yeah, come here, I'll look after you. So for me, I'm listening to this and I'm going, oh my God, like how do you live? Because my amygdala goes off and I'm like, yeah, all right, I hear you. Yeah, it'll be right, mate. And the front of my brain just goes, okay, well, there's a path through this.
Yeah.
And to live with that. Like my youngest son has autism, and when he would go off because he'd have a meltdown, his amygdalas, and we found that we'd get a bottle filled with sparkles and shake it up, and he'd have to sit there and watch it until the sparkle settled to give his amygdala time to settle. Yeah,
exactly.
because so yours is like, man, no wonder you need drugs and mindfulness.
That's why fish tanks and stuff are really, really good for anxiety. I don't know if you've got a fish tank, but I've got one.
No, I
They're
don't.
amazing. And so I go through the same thing. And I get asked, because I've started so many freaking concepts and businesses and all sorts of stuff. It's actually ridiculous how much stuff we've actually created. So I'm fairly sure you're the same. And I think that the creativity side, and when people ask you, like, are you passionate about this? Well, actually, you are.
Yeah.
But it's most of these things
You're
are
passionate about the creation process.
Mate, it's therapy for me.
Yeah.
And it's like the anxiety side of it is, it is therapy. And most of my businesses or concepts or ideas have been born from a need to solve that anxiety or that problem or that issue. So like, I think it's a way where we get to kind of like bury ourselves into something that's.
Oh, I had this, my thing was like, I want to do all the things. I have all the ideas. And my doctor would be like, you could just write them down. You don't have to execute everything you do. Like, Prince had, years worth of music in his back catalogue, like in his vault, so he didn't touch. And I was like, yeah, okay. But how do I, and then
how do I do it all?
Exactly. I would have so many different plans and ideas and stuff. And then I would end up shooting myself down before I could even begin because I got so overwhelmed. And I was like, oh no, I can't do this. Like my dad's going to stop me. Like I can't do this. And then like last year, it was not long after we filmed Zumbo's Just Desserts. So that was actually the year before. So that was 2018. And that was when I was like thinking, oh my God, I can do this. I can be creative. I can leave flying. I can do anything. Yeah. And then so I've lost my train of thought.
That's all right.
We were talking about baking and how you got into baking.
And how I got into baking.
Yeah.
And Zumbo. To then this, all the ideas, that's right. Yeah. All the ideas. And, because I love baking. That was one of my biggest passions, the creating. And I wanted to do things like, how do I bring that into like more people's lives? And then, but then I had this constant struggle of my generalized anxiety disorder being like, no, you can't. Or like, no, you'll crash and burn again like you did in 2017. Yeah. And it got to the point that I was just like, what if I take this thing that I've had all my life I felt has limited me and I actually use that to make the lives of other people better, like people with anxiety, and, you know, take this thing that I think is limiting me and then turn it into my superpower.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, how do I do that with cake?
Yeah.
And then so I was going on this whole personal journey about like, what does that look like? And it was like a good 2 years sort of going, you know, back and forth between like, what does this mean and everything like that. And then COVID happened. Which I thought like straight away at the start of COVID, I was like, oh my God, I've got to call my psychologist. Like, how am I going to deal with this? Oh my God. Like I already have like the, you know, crushing existential crisis as it is, let alone like a global pandemic that we've never seen before. So you can tell I went on to like the offensive. So basically something really cool that happened out of COVID was everyone, you know, went into quarantine, and then hashtag quarantine baking became a thing, and isolation baking and ISO baking and all of those hashtags. And suddenly people are like making bread and they're making cakes at home and stuff. And this has kind of been rising in popularity for a while. Like, you know, making cakes at home has become more and more popular. Like one of the things we did, like right at the start of COVID, was doing like an Instagram live of, you know, making cakes and things like that. Started getting into that, which I hadn't really sort of thought about so much before. Although it added on to me like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do this.
Do you know what's incredible? Like, I mean, I hear like the more, and I know that there's heaps of people who have had horror stories coming out of COVID, but I hear more and more and more that COVID is actually one of the greatest things that's ever happened to
me. It's been like
I'm
a seed.
One of those people.
Yeah,
it was like all my life I've been like, I wish the world would just slow down and stop for a second so that I can catch up with it, because I have anxiety and I'm special and like, you know, I need time. And then it did, and I was like, oh.
But I think even for people without anxiety, it was the world is just a fucking crazy place.
Yeah. It took all that old societal pressure that was there already, and it's kind of like a reset.
Just really funny. Like you're like, oh, it's home baking has become popular. Do you remember when it was like the only thing? Like, you know, like,
well, you didn't go out for dinner. You made your dinner, and you went over to your nan's, and we were saying you were going to sit in the middle and you were going to be the cream and the jam
in the middle
sponge. But we
also didn't want you to play ping pong.
Yeah, it'd get a bit confusing. But
I maintain that I will be like the crazy old lady with purple hair and like giant Coke bottle glasses who's like, more cake to like everyone.
We'll be over.
That fabulous lady, you know, the lady with the short hair and the big glasses, and she's always like so beautiful.
Oh yeah, they trot her out whenever they're talking about, you know, like when you start getting to 50, people then tell you how you should dress and how you should look appropriately, and they always bring her out to say,
oh, she's just fabulous.
Yeah.
I aspire to be like Yetta from The Nanny, but like minus all the smoking. Like,
Yetta was so cool.
Yetta, like just like Yetta's wardrobe is currently my wardrobe now. Like I've just gotten into wearing more and more jumpsuits and like more and more sparkles.
I love it. What's the thing at the minute? Pantsuits and jumpsuits. I'm glad it's back.
I know.
The 70s.
So you've done Zumbo, and I want to talk about, because I know you actually can't share too much about it, but you're a toypreneur.
Yes.
What the heck is a toypreneur?
So with like my little personal mission that I sort of set off on before Corona, and I was like, you know, I want to take this thing I have and make the world a better place with it. And how do I do that with cake? And it kind of came to me, this idea that I had when I was out running, because the gyms all got closed down. So I was going out for a run, and I literally like got hit in the face with this idea, and I ran home and I screamed it at my husband, and I was like, oh my God, I know what I'm going to do. I know like how I'm going to do all the things that I've always wanted to do, and like do them, but in the one thing. And from there I can, you know, so I can't really say much about what it is. But yes, I am creating a toy. Can't give away too much yet, because it's still being developed and everything. But it is, so I'm now a toypreneur.
Preneur.
So I called myself a cakepreneur
Cakepreneur.
before. Now a toypreneur, which is hilarious because I have like absolutely no
You
business
could do
background.
you're a toy carpreneur.
Yeah.
Combine it
Toy
toy
cake
and cake.
preneur.
Toy cup.
Toy cake.
A toycapreneur.
A bakerpreneur.
Toy cake. Sounds like something you do at a pole dancing studio.
Yeah, that's the whole point of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have a business background.
Literally. I think once I accepted that, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, so everyone's like that. Sweet.
Yeah.
And then and that's how I sort of fell into it all just kind of fell into place. I was like, oh, my creativity is meant for this. And yeah. So there's gonna be baking and mindfulness and play, and that's all I can sort of really give so far. But yeah.
It involves a toy.
It involves a toy.
I actually am so excited. I want the breaking story. Okay?
Yes. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I
Please
can't
share
wait.
with us.
I can't wait. I mean, like, I think I've already told like actually too many people. Like,
I know, that's the thing.
we're probably gonna go like we've got to see like an IP lawyer, and they'll probably be like, how many people you told? I couldn't.
So state secrets,
I know.
don't give them to Pearly.
I couldn't even keep it a secret that I was on the show for Zumbos because we were. I think we filmed in 2018, and it was like a full year before the show came out, and we were supposed to not say anything. That's on a show.
How can you give that to an extrovert and say, don't say anything?
Don't say anything.
Don't press the button.
It doesn't work. It doesn't
But
work.
it's asking me to press it.
Was Zumbo? Was it a competition?
Yes, it was.
How did you go?
Yeah. I was eliminated second.
Oh, why? They got it wrong.
I know,
We
right?
want our money back.
How rude.
Yeah, exactly. No. Everyone on the show is so amazing. And in fact, actually, one of my friends, Zach, who is in the show, who we were versing against each other when I got eliminated, and he came up with the name Pearly Sprinkles.
Oh.
So and now Pearly Sprinkles was like my baking alter ego that kind of got formed after he told me like, hey, you're Pearly Sprinkles, and then I totally took that on, and then was totally becoming Pearly Sprinkles, and now Pearly Sprinkles is going to be something to do with the toy.
And I love it because you are so colourful. You're as colourful as those hundreds and thousands.
I've got the lid off.
Yeah.
Have you noticed it? Like he's been talking. I'm
You've
like,
just been slowly like.
Yeah, she doesn't want to make it
Like
too
pulling
loud
it
and give
back.
away that. Will we try a piece of
So good.
cake?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
While we're eating
So-
this cake,
Yes.
I want you to tell us about what Pearly Sprinkles is.
Okay.
Hit me.
Yes.
What do you do? How do you do your pearly sprinkling?
Oh wow! It's
Sounds
so.
like a personal question.
I know, right? I know.
I'm going to smash this.
I'm,
I'm so excited.
It's so Pearly Sprinkles. Basically, I mean, without like saying too much
Sorry.
about like the. Oh, that's all right. I'll just allow you to just sit back and orgasm, and I'll just chill over
Oh
here.
my
God.
god! Oh my god!
They're blondies. Well, they're pink. They're pinkies,
Matt,
but
you want some?
they're like blonde brownies. Yeah, and they've got like cookie butter drizzle.
Oh my
in them
God.
because I actually, in confession, I just wanted to buy the cookie thing and just eat it with my. I actually like got in from Woolies into the car and I opened the lid and was like, and then I thought, oh, how can I use this in my baking? How
know
can I
that-
justify buying this?
I know that you're like trying to have children, but would you prefer to have like a big sister move in? And
You know what? Tell you what, like,
I'll
just
bite you for it.
definitely.
maybe we could share a room.
All right, done.
Well, I'm building at the moment, so we could just add some on. It's possible.
So you were telling us about Pearly Sprinkles.
Yes.
It's So what do what do you do? What is it with them?
So, me personally, I'm appointed. I have appointed myself as a cake decorator who is advocating for anxiety awareness. And that's sort of how Pearly Sprinkles came about. Pearly Sprinkles is like my baking alter ego who loves to express herself through colors and baking, but also has anxiety and is not afraid to talk about it, and opens up a dialogue, and is like, if we make this kind of thing more talked about, and then it's the less stigma, and then it's just more accepted. And that, because everyone loves cakes. So, it's
We
just
do.
something like you normalize, like cakes are normalized in everyday like culture. And it's just like, if we could do that with, anxiety and other mental health, other things like depression and, like autism and so many different things, like the whole spectrum of mental health, like needs to be talked about more. And I think that's one of the fantastic things about coronavirus. Another thing, I'm like, someone's going to be like, God, hoax, she was behind Corona.
She brought us down, people.
Hashtag Pearly ISO.
Yeah. Another great thing is that it's gotten more people to talk about it. And I think it's kind of made it obvious how important looking after your mental health is. Because like with coronavirus having such detrimental effect on our economy and on everything that we currently know, it's just made people sort of sit back and go, how am I feeling? And then it's kind of opened up that whole world.
So nice. I love it. And do you know what?
Cake's good too.
Oh, far out.
Cheers.
That was
That was
ridiculous.
like-
I'm looking at another one just going,
I haven't had lunch.
You're in
so
trouble.
This could be my lunch.
Oh.
How good
Well,
is it now?
that's all yours. I mean, like you can share with other people if you want, but I have more at home, so I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it back.
Precious.
No, you're not going to take it back.
I
You
think
won't
she
make it out
buys
alive.
So
I love it.
we're going to wrap up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll just
I could sit here and eat cake and talk.
Oh,
for
I
hours.
could
afternoon.
talk
Get
for
someone to bring us a
days.
cuppa
I
and-
could talk till the cows come home and then milk the cows, get us some cream to go with our delicious brownies.
I kind of get that impression. You two are dangerous.
Yeah.
But
wouldn't
so
stop.
Pearly Sprinkles taking on anxiety and depression and starting conversations, which I think is amazing. And I agree with you. I have come out of ISO and thought, and there are still people in it, so I'm not diminishing
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But
yeah.
the opportunities that it's created, and particularly for creative minds like in this room, it's just the sky's the limit. And talk about, turning, I'm trying to think of a cake analogy. I can't, but,
You can do it. I believe in you, Annette.
taking a flat pavlova and turning it into this amazing monument
What about a souffle?
to passion fruit and strawberries.
Meringues and
I
all
love
the
it.
fruits.
It's so
peaches
good.
and delicious things.
Stop it.
We're just going to keep
You
talking
must
about
have to.
it.
Do you eat a lot of your own goods? Because
I eat so much of it, like
I think
when
I
I'm
just got
making
fatter
it.
just with that piece.
And yeah, so I have to like work out really hard.
Did you see how I smashed it? It's gone.
Yeah.
I was like, inhaled it.
I know.
Yeah, you have to work. Sorry, go on. I rudely
Oh
interrupted.
no, that's
I think it's the sugar. Sugar's gone.
Well,
exactly.
Pearly
Yeah.
Sprinkles, it's been awesome having you in here, and keep in touch with us because we love conversations about things that people don't talk about because
Yeah.
how are we going to get better if we don't
Exactly.
open up?
Yeah, and I definitely will be coming back. There'll be more.
Awesome.
We're just going to invite you back because we won't even interview. You'll think that these cameras will be on. We'll just be sat
Yeah.
here talking.
Yeah,
Just
we'll be
eating
like,
and
so
going,
what are you
"Yeah."
talking about
Like,
today?
tell us
And you're
more.
like, yeah, I don't know, world affairs and things like that.
Stuff and things, and
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see someone that has come from the anxiety, and it's not come from anything because you live with it every single day.
Yeah.
And it's so nice, so refreshing, and really empowering to see someone out there, and you're just not giving a shit. Like you're literally just saying to people, it's okay to be yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay
Notice
to.
she moved the cake away.
Yeah, damn straight. I did have a. You joking?
Step away
I'm
from
not
the
joking.
cake.
This is it. This is my jam. I literally, pardon the pun. I get up at 2:00 in the morning and eat. That's what I do. But I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for being a person that will stand up for other people that aren't quite there yet.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
And that's it from her, and it's it from me, and it's it from Pearly. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.